Shut up. We should do something now, because we can sit here. We have definitely done nothing. Shut up. We should do something now, because we can sit here. We have definitely done nothing in this game for 20 minutes.
It's because the game already broke, and I told you it was going to break, and it did, and then you're freaking out because you said it wasn't going to happen, and we should just play this game because it's amazeballs, and,
I don't know.
You know?
Shut up, I'll kill you now. Fucking dead. Come on here, face me. No! Why did you do that?
Fire.
No, why would I attack like that? You like throw a bomb?
No! Throw your card and apparently exploded.
That's weird. I don't know why I did that. Just grab it to like so slow.
Why are we being attacked by
Because
gangsters?
we're in like East LA and there are gangsters here, and now I'm being shot. Like, no, you.
I just got ran over by this civilian. What the fuck, dude? That's it. He dies.
Come here and shoot me, so I can kill you when we're done.
Suck it, Shara. And charge. Really? She's still? Oh, now she's doing it. Alright, cool. Now, the pain has begun, guys. Welcome to the pain train. Ouch. Thank you for the share, Alvin. Don't forget, guys, sharing is caring, and liking the video helps the channel out a lot, so if you haven't done so already, please do so. Oh god. I like it. Let's go. Come on. There you go. Enjoy. That was an awesome end to the fight, guys. Dragonator straight to the face. Somebody needs to clip that. Send it my way. Yeah, it was weird, Sky. I don't know. He's not really that high of a level in terms of threat. I think Fulgar is harder. Now. Yeah, we were both muted because I apologize. This is our first Angel podcast, guys. This is Angel, and this is Minion on the other side. This is our first Angel podcast, guys. Say something, Minion.
Say something, Minion. I hope so. I'm gonna have to listen on my end of the audio. Thankfully, nobody's here yet, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have 3 people in the background, but This is kind of a new setup for us, guys. Bear with us; it'll get better throughout the weeks and months and days we actually start doing this more often. Anyway, I'm Angel. I am the character of Angel Paws, and you guys have normally seen me on stream. And today we're just kind of going to go over some things, and then we're going to get into some podcast discussions. This was a long time coming. I've had several attempts to do a vlog and, a podcast of some kind, but we're here. We're ready to go. I'd like to actually start with you, Minion. Do you have anything you want to discuss before we actually get into anything?
No. If you have a topic, go ahead and lead us off.
Well, I would like to start by just saying where we are now and where we're going to go into the future in terms of this channel, because obviously it's a discussion we really should do. You guys are normally used to me just doing streams, and now that my schedule has ironed out and we've got more time to set things up prior to streams, we're going to do a lot more than just streaming, guys. And first of all, I would like to say that I'm going to have a more structured stream schedule when it comes to actual games we're going to be playing. One that is coming up is going to be Battlefield 2042. I think I will be doing that quite a bit unless there's some technical difficulties with the game itself. But other than that, you guys are going to see a little bit more of a competitive gaming scene here, as well as we're going to go back to Monster Hunter.
No, what we're going to see is we're going to see her blame the game every time she fucks up.
Which is going to be amazing.
And then eventually sulk out and say that her computer exploded because of it. So I played Ace Combat 7 against her once.
Yeah.
And I kicked her ass 3 times in a row. And then she was like, my computer exploded. And then never again. Like, I'm a sore loser, but I own it. You will not admit that you're upset you lost. It's just like, no, the game broke, my computer died, my dog needed me. Like, I whooped your ass. But to be fair, I knew what I was doing, and you had no clue. So it wasn't fair to you. You just can't admit, you just couldn't say that.
No, I was actually crashing a lot, too.
Yeah, I'm sure you... See?
I'm gonna fucking
3 years later!
But we should do some more competitive stuff between Minion and I. We'll have I'm hoping to do like a Minion versus Angel stream day where we just play a random ass fucking game and try to kill each other.
We were in board games. That was the big thing that you and I decided.
Battleship. You guys fucking loved the Battleship thing.
I
just kind of threw together.
Battleship was fun. Fuck! I didn't hit the... God damn it!
At the same time, I think we should do Mortal Kombat 11 too, because I have that on my system.
And start the timer.
We were fucking starting. You told me to fucking start this.
I was gonna wait till you started saying we're at 100. We got 120. We're at shit. We're at an hour and 20 minutes now. They probably can't hear me.
Oh, they can hear you.
All right. Okay, so what do you want to talk about first?
Well, first, I heard some actual interesting news, and I actually saw the trailer. Because I don't know if anybody here has ever played a game called Dragon's Dogma. It kind of came out the tail end of the PS3, right before that fucking console was going out the window for the PS4. It came out like 2012, 2 years after fucking Skyrim, believe it or not. And that was like Capcom's attempt at doing, the big open world RPG thing, and I don't think it
was. I think it was a JRPG to come to the West. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think it was a competition or as an attempt to push in the market. Like, it's fantasy. Fantasy's pretty common enough. I think it was just there. I think it was a fun game with a good premise, but some glaring JRPG designs made it untouchable in the long run.
Yeah, well,
way too much backtracking, back and forth. Combat was fun. Combat was challenging. Combat was tough. Angry Joe, the way Angry Joe described it, like all those years ago, was perfect. It was Dark Souls, it was Skyrim, it was all these games combined into one thing, and it did everything it wanted to do. It did really well, but the game was vapid and vain at times. Like the map was tiny in actuality.
Yeah, well,
it was tiny, but you go ahead.
At the same time, I think that they tried to rectify that with the re-release on PS4. Like a couple of years later, they called it the what was it? The Dark Arisen remake,
that didn't
and they added
change anything.
Fucking fast travel stuff. Yeah, they did.
Which makes the world smaller. So they made a small, tight world, and they reuse a lot of the map. Like I googled it, like there just isn't that much.
Yeah, it's a very small game, but it's a lot of backtracking, and I think Capcom's their games are very much that. They try to make these things look a lot bigger than they actually are. Like, for instance, Resident Evil is fucking backtracking.
I knew you were gonna go there. Different story. There was an actual focus to it, and it wasn't meant to, like, it wasn't a JRPG though.
Mm-hmm.
Like
their only other JRPG before then was Monster Hunter series.
Right, which did it right because it took what little it did provide a landmass and it used it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
The game was about hunting monsters. The game is about hunting monsters. There's a hub world, you get a quest, you hunt a monster, you rinse, repeat. That's a really dumb and simplified the way I put it, but it's just the reality, and it's popular. It's popular because it's so focused and it does what it wants to do really, really fucking well. That's a great thing. Dragon's Dogma one with this gigantic fantasy world with high stakes, and you're murdered by a dragon who gets its demon blood on you, and you become immortal, and now you're like locked into this fate with this dragon. You have to duel out, and it's a personal vendetta now, but you're a voiceless nobody, and your companions are literally called pawns. A cool system, but it's slavery with extra steps. Because, like, they wanted to create this trading card gimmick, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the fact that they just said the pawns are in-universe mindless, I could go on and on. It's a really good game. I enjoyed it a lot, but I'll never pick it up again, because it's a one-trick pony.
Well, anyway, we're slightly off topic, but I wanted to say that I actually heard and saw a trailer of something that Capcom's coming out with called Tales of Awakening, which is a spiritual successor to Dragon's Dogma. Their combat system of climbing on top of big monsters, cutting off limbs, and doing all kinds of acrobats, and, you know, the whole pawn system is there, and that is actually coming out in only 2 years, and they already have a gameplay video, and it's kind of like, it's very much, they took elements from their Monster Hunter series, and they melded it with Dragon's Dogma. They claim it's going to be an open world single player action adventure.
Cool, we'll see. That's too early to tell. Although I'm of the school of thought that I don't know and I don't care until it's in front of me. Or like the last trailer they released that shows the immediate gameplay footage, like Far Cry 6.
Mm-hmm.
We know what the Far Cry franchise offers. What it does really well. It rarely does anything new. Things it does do, well, a lot of these franchises don't, but these franchises all design the fact they add little gimmicks, several little gimmicks, and then change the general gameplay style up, but the beats are all the same. And I personally don't have a problem with this. It's good potato chips, like I said, like I always say, potato chip gaming. So,
well, that's how I feel about, you know, Battlefield and Call of Duty. They do what they do very, very well.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They're the biggest ones in the industry for a reason.
Yeah. What's that?
Anybody can pick it up and play it.
Yeah, it's very true. How long you can play it is a whole other story. And it could just be because you and I have ADD or ADHD that we don't focus on those kinds of games for long. Because a lot of people who get good at them pretty much only play.
I used to be able to, but now that I've gotten older, the very simplistic style of just being tossed into a map and fucking running around shooting people and grabbing objectives isn't all that appealing to me anymore. I need something with a little bit more substance and urgency, I should say. Agency. Because...
Agency, yes, not urgency. Because if you want urgency...
Agency. I want something with somewhat of a narrative reason behind it.
You want purpose behind why.
Yeah.
Yeah, which works. No, you do like arena shooters because you've been playing the fuck out of Back 4 Blood.
Yes, but it still has a purpose. You're trying to get from A to B, completing the objectives, and there is an overall reason to be there, rather than...
It's also co-op, and you and I just like co-op better than like straight PvP.
But Battlefield is this particular Battlefield is trying to do something different. I like that they're adding a game mode that's very similar to Escape from Tarkov. Yes, it's throw in the map, go after specific objectives, kill their players, but you still want to get out with gear. So if you find something super special, you're going to want to get out and survive so you can then use it in the next area.
I thought the big thing was Portal.
Portal is also another big thing, where you can kind of just mix and match and create game modes and shit that you want without having to own it.
See, I like the idea. I think it's clever. And if they're adding like a scavenger mode...
Yeah, it's supposed to be their version of Escape from Tarkov's gameplay loop.
See, that's cool. So if because it's a part of their overall game and it adds modes they can pick, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I was never big like Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2 added the Ewok mode.
That was fun.
It was really fun. It's a really small mode, but a lot of people treat it the way they want to be treated, which is just like this horror simulator.
Yeah.
That the stormtroopers have no support, and they're trying to extract, and they're stuck at night, and the Ewoks are out for blood, and you should be afraid. And that's fun as fuck. Like, adding stakes and challenges, the thing that usually doesn't, is clever, and it's so simple.
Oh, I agree. We played it.
Keeping shit simple is always advisable.
With Horseface. Back then.
I still see content for it. Russian Badger still makes content for it.
Oh yeah, the game is still super popular when it comes to fucking multiplayer, because it's really the only choice they have for a Star Wars Battlefield game. It's the closest thing to Star Wars Battlefield that I think EA is ever going to do. I don't think they're going to go and do it again.
No. It hasn't been popular enough at the end of the day. And, I mean, fucking, the first set of Battlefronts only had, like, 2 releases.
Yeah, they had 2 releases also, and it didn't catch on enough for them to make a 3rd one. Until a decade later.
I just think that Star Wars property, that they're always be maneuvering involved with it.
So, yeah, I am looking forward to the new Battlefield game. It's been, 5 years since the last one came out? Battlefield 5. Which I didn't play much of.
Was that the Evolution one? Was that 4?
No, that was 4. 4 was the really, really good one. That came out, 2013? Came out right before PS4 was released. So it was a long time ago since they did that. But then they had Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and those 2 were the games that were considered the black sheeps of the franchise. And
which ones?
Battlefield 1 and 5.
Was 5 World War II?
5 was the World War II one, where they had, they took historical events and they twisted it.
No, they didn't. They vaguely made maps about it. I mean, sure, technically one of them takes place in an area of Market Garden, but they didn't twist it. See, that's the thing. What you're saying right there is the political was the political narrative that was fed, and everybody lost their shit for no reason. I think it's dumb. I think Battlefield was clearly not trying to make a historical simulator. There's a fuck ton of those out there. There's a bajillion super hyper realistic World War II combat simulators and being a grunt, and combat being slow and methodical on this giant battles where everybody's one soldier, and it's just combat.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, those are great, but I don't like them because it's just shooting each other.
Yeah.
Like, if there was... Like, there's a reason why I like Enlisted. That's because there was a big gimmick about managing your own units. And it was technically squad management.
Mm-hmm.
It was very rudimentary because your squad may or may not do much. There was kind of a way you actually get them to be effective. But it was simple. But there's a bajillion of those. And Battlefield 5 was fine.
Oh yeah, it was a fine game. I didn't have a problem with it personally.
Here's the thing. Battlefield changed with Bad Company. And it became much more frantic.
Yeah.
Like when the Frost engine and DICE taking over, it truly made this like Battlefield much more frantic with the explosions and the screaming and the echoing and close quarters. It kind of became much more of a blast fest to keep up with Call of Duty.
But their stories also improved with those games. Because I remember the main characters, and I remember going through the Vietnam story campaign and doing Battlefield Vietnam 2 with the Bad Company 2.
Well, they didn't take place in Vietnam. That was... the Vietnam add-on was just multiplayer.
Yeah. But I actually remember the characters.
No, Bad Company 2 had amazing characters, had amazing story. That's another reason why they really shot themselves in the foot there. Because it was just a really cool game that came out of nowhere. They just made this shit. And it was just so unique. And these characters were fun. And it wasn't about being in the military, it was like an action movie that went off the rails. He became a criminal and a bank robber, and then this shit just kept going and going and going. It was dumb as fuck. And the ending of the first one was so dumb. Where you just land in America, like, the war's here. They're like, oh, okay. And they're like, we just robbed. Like, yeah, we don't care. That's fine. Just go, come on, I got new orders for you. Fuck it, who cares? Like, that was just a joke. That just didn't fucking matter. And it was funny. And it worked, and it was charming.
And they're trying to go back to that with the new game, too, with their story mode. They're reintroducing the story mode.
We'll see.
And
I mean, 5 and 1 both have, like, snippets of stories, so
yeah.
I don't think so. We'll see.
Well, no, they actually had a video of a guy who was in Battlefield 3, who was a main character.
It's not the same thing. Bad Company 2 had a theme of a theme. I don't think it's gonna be the same thing. I'm sure they'll create a story, but it's gonna be another. Like, so did 4. 4 had this, like, you played as a Marine. And then, like, it opens up with you running through an American subway trying to stop a bomb. And you're just a fucking Marine.
Yeah.
Like, no way in fuck is this Marine just kind of part of this plot, just going rogue. Like, no. I mean, it's the action movie fantasy. But it's a little too, like, what Hardline want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of the theater, the thought process, that Call of Duty and Battlefield need to stop creating like action movies of a mundane variety. I'll be honest with you.
I have no interest in
Captain Price and Ghost are not characters.
No.
Vaguely. Captain Price had more character development in the remake. Kinda.
Cold War was
Not Cold War, the one before that. The prequel of Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Cold War was fine. Cold War was silly as fuck.
That was great about it, though.
I've seen clips of like how you can at the end join the Soviet Union and betray the team you're working for before they betray you. Because if you just side with them, they betray you at the end.
Okay.
But if you actually side with the CIA, who you're basically working for, like the guy isn't running with he'll try to shoot you. It is ambiguous, like one of you shoots the other because it's spy bullshit.
Yeah.
But you can just betray them early on. And just, like, get a non-canon ending where you join the Soviet Union, and then you fuck them all up. And it's so dumb, because it's so... Your character have a voice, so there's no drama involved in it. Like, you pick the betrayal ending, and they all look at you going, like, did you betray us? And your character doesn't say anything for, like, at all, because they don't talk, for, like, 10 seconds. And your character just does this, where he's just a fist pump in front of the screen, and then RPG flies over their head. It's so, like, slow, because your character can't just say, yes, fuck you, and run. He has to do a hand gesture.
Yeah.
To signify anything. But that was silly, and that worked. It wasn't amazing, but it worked.
But it's really the only, like, Black Ops has always had kind of the espionage angle, and I love that about the Black Ops games, but I don't care about the World War II Vanguard thing.
Oh, right.
I don't care about Call of Duty World War II, and I don't care about, Captain Price number 72.
Call of Duty War II took itself way too seriously
platoon.
and added too much drama.
Yeah.
Look, this is wrong. It did drama in this setting very wrong. It set up the sergeant who's just a douchebag the entire time. And I mean, he's kind of got his reasons, but he's just a douchebag. Like, he's not a leader, he's an asshole. And, but, you know what franchise did do drama during World War II among American soldiers correctly? It was Brothers in Arms.
Mm-hmm.
Because the drama was between younger men in the privacy, who are privates, instead of your character, who's always the sergeant above. Because you always play with the squad leaders, whether it's Red or Matt Baker. By the time these two start arguing, it's late in the war, and there's real tension involved, where one of them is witnessing the other starting to, like, become unstable, and the other one's is insisting he's not. But it's clear. And that's the drama. It's just much more subtle. Where, like, the big drama is between, like, privates bullying the nerdy guy, and the nerdy guy picking a fight, and that fight attracts attention. And then the Germans end up shooting him because of that. And he feels guilty the entire time. It's one incident, and it's a lot less obnoxious nonsense. It's a lot less Michael Bay-isms.
Well, if they started to do campaigns similar to something like Spec Ops: The Line, for example, I think it would go a better way.
They would never. Spec Ops: The Line was such a unique thing that had nothing to do with military. It was just... Remember that discussion we had about what's a war movie? That's because there's soldiers in it?
Mm-hmm.
Or even war. It's not a war movie. What was it? Overlord?
Yeah.
It was a great survival horror movie. It is not a war movie. Just because it takes place during D-Day, just because the main characters are U.S. paratroopers, just because the enemy are Nazis, doesn't make it a war movie. It's an action movie set during this time period that turns into a survival horror fantasy movie, which is great. That's what it is.
Alright.
Spec Ops: The Line was not a competitor Call of Duty. People thought it was, because there were so many of these fucking games coming out. It was just its own story. It was its own exploration of this insane world and PTSD and trauma and how it affects people. It was fucking great. Call of Duty will never do that because it doesn't have mainstream mass appeal. Like, nobody will give a shit. No. Well, majority of people will be like, what is this? What's going on here? I don't care. Because I don't care.
Yeah, there was actually a study, I heard that only 30% of the Call of Duty fan base actually completes the Call of Duty campaign.
Yeah, because that's not what they play with for anymore. Call of Duty's evolved. It's no longer the main World War II first-person shooter. It's a spectator sport. Mm-hmm. Call of Duty is a spectator sport. The way it's played, the way multiplayer functions,
the
happens.
Esports scene and everything.
Not esports. It's a spectator sport. Esports is a spectator sport, but when I say spectator sport, I mean any sport where there's a huge crowd watching. Football, basketball, baseball, anything. It functions like a spectator sport.
Yeah.
Esports is, yes, but it's not... You're thinking where... The way you said it sounds like you'd like... Well, they'll put in... Like, no, they won't. It'll never become an esport game. Because there are other games, like fucking Counter-Strike is. Because Counter-Strike is so weirdly perfectly balanced because it's just dudes with guns. There's no special abilities. You just got a gun. But Call of Duty functions like a spectator sport. Shooting people is passing the ball.
Yeah. Anyway. That's all for me on this topic of gaming, at least. Is there anything you want to bring up to the audience?
Not this time. And there's a few dozen things, but nothing I really care too much about.
Well, on a different topic, next month, and I guess in December is where the biggest movie times come out. I think Dune has just released. You had Halloween Kills that also just released about a week ago.
I saw the pitch meeting video. It looks bad.
Yeah. Well,
but it sucks too because it's funny how much makes sense to me because I just watched you watch the previous one, and that one looked good.
Oh yeah, the acting was great. The story was great. It's probably one of the better slasher movies.
This one slaps the storyline in the face. Mostly because it takes place 5 minutes afterwards. And it's like the previous movies didn't matter. And on top of that, it kills people off I disagree with. Because it makes the previous events pointless. Like, each of these movies moves the stone forward. This one is literally like, well, 5 minutes later this happens, he comes back and he kills his daughter. Spoilers, daughter dies.
Well,
Which is dumb, because she had a great character moment in the previous movie. That pissed me off, because it's a waste. I hate when good characters get shitty endings. Like, don't give them growth if you're not going to let them live. But, and then that's just all there, so it's just, like, it was a weird...
I've heard some conflicting stories. Some people are saying it's a great watch, but the ending will just piss you off because they don't know where to go with the direction of the
They need to
movie
stop
now.
making them. But they're not gonna, because they make money. Because they shit them
they're
out.
cheaply made, they're easy to make a profit off of. It's typically what these slashers are for.
Go with your wallet.
As for other movies, we had the trailer for... What is it called? The Raccoon City. Welcome to Raccoon City. That was just released last week.
That's really good.
And, well, it looks great. I am not going to say entirely, but I don't agree with their casting choices.
Why?
Because Leon doesn't look like Leon. He looks like, what's his name? Carlos from the third game.
Well, at this point in time,
Claire didn't really look like Claire.
She was a white girl. He was a white dude. It's irrelevant. Like, they're not gonna make him look like him. They're just not gonna. And they didn't. And that's whatever. How do I put this? Remember how I complained in like the 5th Resident Evil, they just threw all 5 of the secondary characters in one movie with no regard for what's going on.
Yeah.
They're not doing that here. Just because it's a different dude doesn't mean it's not the same character. Because they don't look like the same token white people. It's just the fact that, like, when these games came out, they just put people in. They didn't think these people would fucking matter. Like, the first Silent Hill, Harry. The guy's name is Harry. There's no fan art of Harry. Fucking the demon. But there's a bajillion pieces of fan art of Leon fucking Claire. That's how much these characters made impacts. Why we care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody argued that the main character in the Silent Hill movie wasn't the dude who was running around with the shotgun and the stick looking for his daughter. Nobody gave a shit. Because it didn't matter. It matters to us more because Resident Evil did something smart, which is it gave us pretty people. I like Leon, but I don't...
But the characters have...
It's not a character. Look, Leon is vaguely a character. I love these people. I'm a huge Star Wars. I'm
not a huge
Star
fan
Wars.
of Leon to begin
But
with.
they're
so
not characters. They're just there. They were always just there. They're just pretty people being anime characters. So fucking let them be black. I don't give a shit. Who cares? Who cares? They didn't care in the first set of movies.
I mean, they clearly care because they made Chris a white dude. And they
It's-
have
see,
fucking
you keep
Nikolai
saying,
in there.
You keep saying that, and
Just say-
it's irrelevant to the point. You're not getting it. Who gives a shit? Because if you don't give a shit. I highly recommend you don't give a shit. Like, you've already made this your point several times, and it's just like...
It's
who cares?
weird.
It's not weird. It's not weird. Who gives a shit? I keep saying this. Who gives a shit? It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. When we talk about these things, I'm just like, I'm always half invested because I don't care that much. Like, I didn't care about 8. I could have been like, but Chris is in it, I'll play for Chris. I don't give a shit Chris is in it. I like Chris. I like Chris is in there.
Chris is actually the best character in that game.
He's the only character in the game. But again, Chris is... These are barely characters. We're just people. We know their name, we know their faces, and we know, like, their archetype. I'm going to bring up something, and we're not going to debate this.
Okay.
Because it's irrelevant to the point. Every character in the Last of Us franchise is a character. Every attractive meat puppet in the Resident Evil franchise you get to play as is kind of a character. Claire Redfield has no growth as a character, ever. Chris has no character, ever. Leon has no character. I don't care how many times they show him having a drinking problem. It's so out of fucking nowhere. You know why? Because these franchises are disjointed. Resident Evil is such like a, here, 5 minutes later, here, 7 years later, here. Like, here's Claire. She's running around Umbrella trying to find a brother. Oops, she's in jail. There's a zombie apocalypse and her brother's here. Hey, Chris, let's go kill these weirdos. That was the plot of Code Veronica. I love these fucking games, but it's anime. It's anime nonsense. I love anime. I love anime nonsense, but it's anime nonsense, not character. There's no growth. So I just don't give a shit. They combine the two. Who cares? They cast the...
Oddly enough, I think Sherry and Jake had the best, like, character arc.
Yes, they did, because they actually had a connection.
Yeah.
Because Leon and Claire never had any sort of connection besides existing together because they spent maybe 3 minutes in the first games. Because the first games just didn't have the ability to connect them. Like...
And Jill.
Technically. So, like, they just didn't... What about Jill? Why are you cutting me off to say Jill?
I was just saying that Jill is...
It's there.
I mean, she
became a pair of fun bags by the 5th game. I love Jill Valentine. You've only proved my point. Like, Shigeru Miyamoto. That's fucking Mario. The creators of Resident Evil didn't care that much to give them that much character anyway. In fact, if you look at their character backstory, it's ridiculous. Jill Valentine is a 22-year-old, like, Delta Force operator.
Well, she's definitely not 22 anymore.
No, but I'm look it up. I'm telling you right now. Like, it was so fucking anime fantasy. I just don't care. I love Jill Valentine. She's my favorite female character. I have a crush on her till the day I die. But it doesn't change the fact that she's just a pretty pair of tits with a gun. That's what they wanted. That's the reality. So be it. I still like it, but I just like... If they made Jill Valentine a black girl in a new movie, I wouldn't, whatever. Just go with it. I don't care. I just don't care. I know I know I made these like movies, but like, the movies didn't give a shit. The TV show looks like it does. And if you really care about it, there's a bunch of animated shows about it. So I just like... You have a problem with it because they just don't look the way they look, and fair, I guess. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. They're going to have more character growth in this TV show than they ever did in the entire franchise, which is why they're never going to look like what you perceive these characters to be. Because Jill Valentine was nothing. She was the attractive female voice with the attractive, pretty pair of hairs, and she had a nice suit, and she had a gun. That's it. There's no... Yeah, fucking occupation, U.S. Army Delta Force operator. between unspecified time frame to 1996. Stars Alpha Team Rear Security, 1996 to 1998. She spent 2 years, only 2 years as Stars officer. And then she joined the BSAA in 2005.
Yeah.
Which is like between 98, and which is like the longest gap. She was...
That had to be
let me break down what I'm trying to say. Ugh. That doesn't fucking say on the wiki, but she was like early 20s, like 22, 23, 24 by the Spencer Mansion incident.
Yeah.
So I want you to picture this fucking fantasy. In 1998, when women still weren't allowed in U.S. Army combat, in U.S. military and combat, Jill Valentine was a Delta Force operator, which is military special forces, which still doesn't have any female soldiers in. For like 3 years, if she enlisted 18, she's like 24, maybe 4 to 6 years, she was in the Army. Special Forces, got out, and then joined, like, fucking Minnesota Special Forces Police. That's what Raccoon City was. It was like it's a Midwestern town. It's Minnesota, it's the Twin Cities, St. Paul, whatever. This is fantasy. This is pure anime fantasy. It's what a Japanese dude wants to see from the sexy female characters. They're tough, but she's got nice hips. She was a Navy SEAL operator, but she's kind of still bimbo-y. No! No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But what I'm saying is this is what it's setting up. That it's fantasy. That it's for fun. It's who gives a shit. Albert Wesker, turns out, he joined Stars, but he's actually a super baby with Umbrella. That's my point. Like, don't set yourself a failure by trying to say, it's not the same person. Of course not the same person. Jill Valentine was the person. She's kind of a person. Like, her backstory is just obnoxious. Like, it's not the fact that, like, it's not unrealistic. I fucking hate the term realism in video gaming. Realism is stupid, and it's wrong. Realism doesn't exist in video games. I don't care what fucking Arma, DayZ bullshit. I fucking play DayZ too. I own a goddamn server. Realism is dumb. And old games had to do a lot with little and got really creative. And Resident Evil was just anime put on PlayStation 1. And they're zombies. And they're inventory management. Yeah, they have to play as a short, buff dude who was hard mode. Oh, by the way, remember how the difficulty was based on gender?
Yeah.
Chick was easy mode, male is hard mode. So let's not get involved in fucking who's not what. Because it was just okay back then. It's still okay now, but it's just the way, like, we used to question it. Nobody questioned it. It was just like, you're 5, you gotta play as a girl or boy. Girl started with a gun, boy started with nothing because he was a stupid boy. So I always played as Jill because Chris sucked. But then, like, Chris got shredded in 5, and I jerk off to that. Look, I'm trying to make a point here with that.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, they're not characters. They're vaguely characters. And Jill Valentine's a fucking U.S. Navy SEAL operator, and then she gets out and she becomes a cop, and then she's just surviving this. It's just how they explain how these people can survive this bullshit. It's only 5 people survive. Where, like, in other zombie apocalypse things, like The Walking Dead, there's a fuck ton of human survivors.
Yeah.
But there's a fuck ton more zombies. And because of that, the world shapes itself. But in, like, Resident Evil, it's just anime fantasy. One massive incident happens right here. And then it happens all over the place, but it never spreads. Because our sexy action heroes always save the day.
Right.
Which is the fucking plot. And I love that shit because it's so simple. But again, I make this point to be very clear that this is all garbage action movie fantasy fun. And I fucking love it. So yes, make Leon a black dude. I don't give a shit. You know why? Because Leon was a dumb haircut with a weird uniform.
He did have a dumb haircut.
He's always had a dumb haircut.
He was always
and
like
the thing is,
and
not even. Like, he was in the first game, but they constantly grizzled him up, where I liked it. And he was like...
Now he looks fucking great in the new fucking cartoon TV series.
He looked that way since 4. Like, 4, they made him fucking Solid Snake. They were like, he's done. Like, he just became Solid Snake.
Now he's a fucking legend, yeah. Basically.
No, more like just the way he acts. Like, they're trying to. Like, he became Secret Service and the president's best friend if the president died. Which is, again, fantasy service. Like, that is the silliest shit. Like, Claire just fucking, she just dipped out and joined Greenpeace. Like, but they all kind of go on a one-man mission each to go hunt down, like, Umbrella.
Yeah.
And each one of them get a little fuck you to Umbrella before Umbrella dissolves. And it's anime. It's anime, so it keeps going and going and going. Because the best kinds of animes have, like, point A to B plots, and then they're done. The worst kinds of animes just keep going. Like fucking Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, there is no end to that. But...
Like Goku's an asshole.
But they're like separated in different stories too. But
which is ridiculous. Except I just watched the video, like a 3-second video last night of Vegeta basically trying to explain to Goku why he can't leave the planet because his wife's about to give birth. And Goku's like, "What does that have to do with you?" And Vegeta's like, "Just dude, why do I have to explain this to you? I'm married to her, and I have to be here for the birth."
Yeah. And fucking Goku just wants to go and conquer worlds and stuff. Like,
just fight because he's a fucking meathead. Because he's just a dumb meathead who's just like, ha! He's just anyway. That's my point. Like, who gives a fuck? They're gonna change it, and it's just like there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to change them. They tried going a different route. Like the first movies tried to introduce a new character, and we were like, no, bring back Jill, and they brought back a chick in a fucking halter top, and it was fine. It was Jill. That's all Jill was. Jill's never been played by a substantial actress because Jill's just a supermodel with a gun.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm okay with this.
It's the same team that did those movies too with this new movie. So
maybe the same team, not the same director.
No, it's not Paul W.S. Anderson, but it is his studio.
Sucked.
His studio is behind it.
Cool.
But he doesn't want to have his wife in there anymore. He just wants to do a more.
Yeah, I hate to admit it. She just it was obnoxious. Mila Jovovich is awesome, but
she's a great action star. She is my generation's idol. I would have loved to be like fucking her, just in all these movies, looking pretty and
that's fair.
Fucking shooting guns.
That's fair. That's totally fair. But yeah, that's all it is. Which again, only allows me to rest my case in the fact that the depiction of Leon Kennedy in this movie, in this TV series, whatever the fuck it is,
it's a movie,
is going to be more of what Leon Kennedy becomes. I wouldn't be surprised if they retcon parts of the story. Because he's going to get more character development in the show because of this. Where Leon never had character development. He just didn't. It was so disjointed. Because these games.
The movie looks like it's going to be an amalgamation of those 3 games.
Which is awesome. Which is great.
So you have Carlos in there too. Where is he?
I don't know. I don't care.
I mean, the guy does look like Carlos.
Cool. Good for Carlos. Now there's two brown guys in it. It doesn't fucking matter. You keep making it about what they look like. Why does that matter to you? And don't say because it's weird. No, you can't say it's weird. Because the reality is, it just makes you uncomfortable. And that's fair. You can feel uncomfortable. It's.
I'm gonna still see the movie. And I'm probably.
I know you are. It doesn't matter. Is my point. So why even make it a point in your brain to even? You got out of your system. It just doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what they look like. I wish it did. I don't wish it did. No, that's not what I mean. It just doesn't. Yeah.
Well, on another subject, Dune came out. Apparently, it's doing really well.
Oh yeah, that's Dune.
I heard it's a fantastic movie, but a lot of them are saying that it's a lot of visual flair. So if you're gonna go see it on a big screen. Watching it at home, you won't get the same feeling. But I don't really know much about Dune other than I read the book when I was really, really little in like middle school and shit.
Dune is one of those franchises where it got like the author's ultra creativity, which is kind of banana sandwich. Like there weren't a whole lot of universal.
I just remember the worm.
Yeah, there was a worm. Dune was weird. Like I saw the '80s show with like people I was friends with back when I was a teenager, and it was weird. It made no sense to me. It's just one of those very specific sci-fi worlds.
Like Highlander?
No, like Star Wars, actually. How do I put this? Every one of these science fiction, Space Odyssey, whatevers, always sets up to create a world, a universe, and then a hero who has to save that universe. And I don't think Dune is popular. And the fact that it's a big old cult classic, but it wasn't as popular commercially as Star Wars. But also, I believe Star Wars is much more relatable.
Yeah, from what I understand, I don't think Dune is going to catch on to mainstream people.
Oh, it will.
This new movie. People really want it to. People are going to see it multiple times to try to push it so it gets a sequel. But the 1980s one didn't work out, and it never got a sequel, and the only thing it ever produced was multiple books.
That's again because it's too...
It's like Narnia. Chronicles of Narnia. I only remember The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I don't remember Prince Caspian. I don't fucking remember any of the books that followed it.
That's again... there's a couple things I think are theories on. That's A, that these franchises focus too much on their characters. Star Wars did this. Thankfully, they get away from this, which is the Skywalker legacy, and that needs to just go away, or just become what it is, which is history, like history of the world, like people know about through textbooks, not through living it through it. But a lot of these. Even Star Trek does this. And the Star Trek Lower Deck show made fun of this.
Star Trek has struggled with their movie releases too.
Yes and no. So, it had a lot more success early on, in my opinion, with the Kirk movies and the Next Generation movies. If you're referring to the recent ones, the Kelvin timelines, they didn't really have a problem so much as they were just one-offs, which they should be, because those movies take place in literally their own timeline. Like, in universe, it's referred to as the Kelvin timeline, because this set of 3 movies broke off from the main Star Trek Next Generation timeline when the USS Kelvin was destroyed by this Romulan mining ship the day Kirk was born. That's why Kirk's a different person, and a different voice, a different face, technically. That's actually explained.
Yeah.
Because Leonard Nimoy plays Spock.
Yeah, it was
from the Prime Universe. So it's the different... It just did more actiony stuff.
Fucking time travel, basically.
Oh, Star Trek is up its own ass time. In fact, it knows it. Like, there's a whole timeline where there's time police.
But I don't
and there's
think
time wars.
That same thing could happen with the dudes.
No, it can't, because again, it's not as relatable, in my opinion. From what I see, it's too weird.
It's artsy.
It is artsy. Yes.
Artsy sci-fi.
You know, Chronicles of Riddick did the same thing.
They tried to expand on it, but I think, again, it was good as a one-off horror sci-fi thing that's trying to ape Alien with an interesting bad guy fucking vigilante character.
Also, it was about one dude.
Yeah.
Riddick.
Riddick.
We never called Star Wars Skywalker. We did have a movie called Solo. That was one movie about young Han Solo. Good movie.
But even fucking Riddick got weird. And that's weird.
Right. Because its bad guys were really weird. Because the armor was really weird. You know what did this really well and was weird, but made sense and it was fun and colorful and great because it was part of the universe, which is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, because the weirdness was ingrained in its fucking storytelling.
Yes, it was very 1970s cartoony. And the characters that we saw the point of view from were very cartoony, and they were very fun to watch. But once they joined like the main storyline, they were just kind of there as foot soldiers, which I liked. I liked how the Guardians of the Galaxy were in the Marvel movies, in the Endgame and the Infinity War, but they were just kind of there as troops, and they were definitely in over their heads, even more so than like the Avengers were, because what they are. As much as they are like they had the most experience, they were still kind of just goofballs, just kind of mercenaries fucking about.
Well, since we're on the topic of superheroes, you and I also recently saw the latest Suicide Squad, and I wasn't a huge fan of the original. I liked it, but it was very kind of just there. And again, Suicide Squad has the same appeal as Guardians of the Galaxy. They're just fucking weird characters. They're off the wall. They've got weird abilities.
They tried to give these weird characters too much gravitas and too much drama and too much plot development that was outside of the wheelhouse in the first one.
In the first one, yes. They tried to humanize one of the characters who was a villain.
Which is not a bad thing, but it was just the way they went about it. It was too much drama. Stakes were too high. It was like, it was too much. This wasn't Superman. This wasn't Batman. Even Superman was wrong, because the good Superman is the TV show. Superman and Lois and Clark are...
Yeah, you and I are gonna... I think we should definitely look and watch the first season, and then do a podcast on it.
Oh, yeah. No, I heard it's really good. In fact, I've heard fairly universal praise from what I've heard. I haven't heard all the praise, obviously, but it's from what I've heard, that people just like this version of Superman. Because they should. Because it's fucking Superman, who's a dork and a Boy Scout and kind of like a kid. Like Superman, that was the point of Superman. Like, you can't... the question of, like, will Superman go evil because his wife died? No! Because he's a good person.
He would make things work, I think. I think he would choose the
He would mourn properly.
I don't think he would go fucking blow up a planet.
Right, which is the point. And we see that Superman in this TV show, while Henry Cavill's Superman was just sexy man.
Except they did him justice in the Snyder Cut. They showed him have more human presence.
You mean talking to Lois and his mom? That was in the original cut.
No, they expanded on it. They definitely did.
They probably added more conversation, but it was the same shit. That's why there aren't like 7 fucking Justice Hero movies right now.
I know, we're getting off.
But what we do have is a fuck ton of smaller DC movies, which are doing really well. Doom Patrol's doing really well. Fucking the Suicide Squad was really fun. They're now releasing
the Peacemaker,
which I discovered as it should be a sequel.
I think it's going to be awesome. I
think it looks great. I think again, because you just gotta understand when people look for superhero movies, which is not high drama with the characters we know. Like, I just don't want to see an overdramatic, sad Superman. I don't give a fuck.
I feel like they thought Peacemaker was going to be a character worth expanding on. And I think they had a great idea, because he was filming this shit on the side. I mean, he clearly knew it was going to be a fan favorite.
He was writing the story while filming Suicide Squad. But yes, James Gunn's also a genius.
And now he's got this character who ended up getting killed in the movie. I don't know if it's going to take place after or before.
It just says a sequel, because I googled it.
Okay.
Because the first scene is in the hospital. It's a superhero movie. Who gives a fuck how he died?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It never matters. I don't care. Don't care. The fucking Justice League brought back Superman.
Tony Stark's gonna be back in probably the future movies.
I don't think so, because I think Robert Downey Jr. is actually just tired. Because he's been doing those movies for like 20 years. So, my theory was I'd like to see like his actual Iron Man progeny, Rescue, who is Gwyneth Paltrow's character. Rescue is Pepper Potts' suit. Mm-hmm. It's called the Rescue suit, otherwise it's called Rescue. Yeah. It's just their custom suit. If they're not her, then it gives her daughter. There's Ironheart, who was this super genius who stole a suit from Iron Man, and he was so impressed that he made her her own suit, and she took over. Like, there's a fuck ton of ways where each one of these characters got to take over.
We still have to see Birds of Prey, basically.
I don't think I want to see Birds of Prey.
I'm curious.
I think it's going to be like slightly better than the first movie and slightly worse than the Suicide Squad. And here's why. Because I think Birds of Prey was that stepping stone for him to decide, fuck it, let's just go straight James Gunn. James Gunn just make Guardians of the Galaxy, which is what the Suicide Squad is. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. They were all cheeky and goofy and dumb. And goofy powers. And Colonel Flag was much more like human instead of just kind of...
I got pissed with his death.
Right, because he evolved the character. And they did it so simply. Like, he was just looser as a person. They established that he was friends with Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn didn't have any friends, let alone a platonic male friend. Like, technically, she had Poison Ivy, who's not in the movie. And they're either, like, gal pals or lesbian lovers. So the fact that she's just friends with the dude who holds her trigger in her hand, unironically, because she just has a whimsical nature about her being so broken, she just doesn't give a fuck. And that's not a...
Well, they also showed that in the movie. Like, she was...
Yes.
I thought for a second, because they played it off like she was going to fall in love with this psycho dictator.
I mean, she did. That was the point.
And then she fucking flipped the switch, and then suddenly she's up with the program again. She's got a mission. She's going to complete it.
Yeah. And it fell in line perfectly with the character, because she did fall in love with them. She does like those kinds of guys. But that kind of guy wanted to use her. And that kind of guy wanted to do bad things. She did with Joker. And then, but she was very strong on morals and principles in this matter, and so that's why she shot him. And that was cool, because that cut away. This guy is the bad guy, and then this guy's the bad guy, so the giant starfish is the bad guy. And Harley Quinn is still 100% in character.
That fucking starfish.
She just kind of wandered off, and she just fell in love with the dude, killed him, wandered back to her friend, and she's like, I'm back, guys. And they're like, okay, fucking whatever. And that was the plot. Because the Suicide Squad is just a bunch of goofballs who are also like minor villains. Who are all just kind of a part of this fucking shit. And they don't give a shit.
Except Peacemaker. He was actually a hero and for some reason got wound up in the prison system.
He wasn't a hero. He murdered people. His broken ideas of like wanting peace through maximum violence was why he was a villain, and the fact that like he was the total reverse of Batman. I'm not going to argue that Batman's killed. Yes, Batman's killed. A lot of people killed negligently, but Batman really tried not to kill people to the point where it got other people hurt. Peacemaker killed anybody for peace. Same mission. Very different methods. It's this line in the sand, and Peacemaker's the goofier version who wants to be vigilante. He's good at what he does, but he kills a lot of people. And that's why he's in prison. What was it? Like, some of the tidbits we're saying about Peacemaker. He's not a bad guy. Not really. He's just kind of an asshole. And also a moron.
Yeah.
Which is why he's fun. He does what he does for valid reasons. But he's definitely an asshole and a moron. And they established this by the way he's just kind of a moron about stupid shit. But he's really good at this one thing, which is killing people. And he believes he's doing it for peace. And while he might be, he's also kind of not. Like, the establishment in the movie was that he could be bought. And he wasn't bought through money, he was bought through jingoism. By the lie that he was there for ultimate peace. So what happened? What's her fuckface? You manipulated him and kept him as an insurance card. Because she knew he would follow orders if she told him it was for peace.
Well, in the trailer, they also kind of established that he has like a vigilante following him, and he believes that vigilantism is kind of fucking wrong for some reason. Also, that was like he doesn't believe he's a vigilante, but he's doing vigilante work.
It's the same reason why like Batman doesn't take just random people as a sidekick. Just like they established in like Dark Knight, where a bunch of people are dressing up as Batman and hockey masks and guns, and they're like, "No, stay away. This isn't for you." But like Robin, who plays his game, different story. Like it doesn't matter. Like the more we go into superheroes, the more we have to justify every little thing that was written back in 1947. We just want to do the bat costume and beat up bad guys. And now the year is 2027, and we have to justify why Bruce Wayne is rich and single and has so much goddamn money and does nothing with his time. And the answer is because Wayne Enterprise makes everything, and he just collects residuals, which is very much a thing in real life. But this man is very much haunted by the death of his family forever. So he, in his own way, is trying to stop crime the way they literally can. And the way this kind of shit moved forward into like the metaverse of like how DC has like superheroes and gods on planet Earth is that he becomes their leader. He becomes their voice of reason. He becomes their grounding. He also becomes like their foil. Like, he's no one's friends, but he's everyone's colleague. He has everyone's back, but he does this shit for a reason. He's also kind of a psychopath at times. The way he beats the shit out of fucking, like, petty villains. Like, I love how that's becoming a meme more and more now, where he just fucking hammer fucks some dude. Just some random guy. Which is why I like the Robert Pattinson.
The year one. Speaking of,
where he just fucking wailing, just like 7 punches. And yeah, released like 6 months ago.
No,
oh, I know. It
was recent. But apparently, they are doing the year one thing with Robert Pattinson, and I'm going to be honest with you. I was not expecting much, but being a fan of like his other movies that aren't Twilight, for example. He was great in The Lighthouse as a fucking psycho that's slowly going madder and madder and probably talking to himself the whole time while he's having a fever dream while getting eaten by
I want to know how many people
seagulls.
I want to know how many people guessed that Robert Pattinson was becoming the next Leonardo DiCaprio. Because Leonardo DiCaprio got the same rap as a young man.
Oh yeah, he was a pretty boy.
Like, he was a pretty boy who did a bunch of pretty boy roles, and he was like a skinny kid.
I liked him in like Inception and Revenant and things like that.
Right, these are the movies where he got his big fucking
Shutter Island,
where he got his fucking dick wet and being like a real actor, and then he just did fucking banger role after banger role. Like fucking Django Unchained was amazing as a villain.
Oh, The Departed was probably his fucking best role.
It
had a lot of.
It was one of his first best roles. It was one of his first best roles where Leonardo DiCaprio Titanic was his first best role. But he also did like several movies and several TV shows before Titanic. Titanic was really good, but he played that character. He could never be that pretty boy again, but he was that character. As he just got older, he just became a dude. And he does like freakouts really well. That's the big thing. Like, he's not afraid to be a fucking mess on camera. And that's cool as fuck. Because,
Pattinson's the same way.
No, yeah, Pattinson's like been way willing. Ever since he just got shit on for being a pretty boy, he's just like, fuck, I'll jerk off on camera, I don't give a shit. And I was like, good for you, man. You fucking, you dig your fists in that fucking meat pie.
And that exchange with the seagull was fucking like, whoa, dude. Like,
yeah, it's seen that shit while like, he's gonna make a great Batman. Ben Affleck made a great older Batman, like, end of his tether Batman.
he still looked. I mean, Ben Affleck was the best comic book portrayal on screen. He had the look. He had the gruff, muscular structure. He was just fucking big.
He was big. Yeah. He got because it's like
and scary.
He got bigger. It's like Robert Pattinson, a much leaner, younger Batman. He's gonna get bigger and fatter and gain more muscles by working out.
Yeah.
And then but he's also gonna get tired.
They're definitely showing him progress, slowly but surely. Which is what I like. I like the fact that they're going back to an inexperienced Batman who isn't the fucking legend yet. Nobody knows really much about him at all.
Yeah, I didn't see the first Batman with Christian Bale.
Batman Begins. They kind of briefly discussed that, but it was just like waved off as he went to visit Ra's al Ghul and learn how to fight.
No, I think that was the big part of that first movie was him becoming Batman, and I don't know.
It was a lot of hand waving.
It was weird. Like I didn't quite like seeing him. Like kind of like because he was still.
Christian Bale was a good Batman, but he was not a good Bruce. Sorry, he didn't have the. He had the rage on screen when he was Batman, but he didn't have the.
He was a really good introverted Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. Bruce Wayne was kind of introverted. Mm-hmm. Like, even though he was still charming, and he could turn on the charm, and could work a crowd, which I kind of can too. Definitely not great.
But you didn't really see much of, like, the detective aspects.
No.
The problem solving.
No, he had the team for that. But a lot of that movie was, like, he was very reactionary. Because, like, they had a really good villain, which we won't get into because we all know this. So, like, he stole the fucking show. Yeah. So sometimes you forget Batman was even there.
I even loved Bane.
And because he was okay. And he was good. He was good. Actor was good. Actor who plays was good. I forget his fucking name, but you know.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, thank you. But, we got like a half an hour left, 20 minutes.
Yeah, actually we got 15 minutes. But,
and, but it was so good, they made a fucking Joker movie. And that was good.
It was fucked up, yeah. But I don't think you're going to go anywhere with it. It's kind of like... It was
why would they?
Movie.
There's nowhere to go. He becomes the Joker. Duh. What we could do now? See his first child murder?
No, that'd be fucked up.
Well, thank you for the straight answer. But the point I'm trying to make is... The movie ends with him becoming the Joker.
Yeah.
Which is a great way of showing the Joker's interpretation that wasn't the Joker was dipped in the vat of goo and became the Joker. That's why you can't die. I don't know, we'll do that later, but like who gives I like that there is a psychological reason why this man just kind of rallies a broken people to his cause and then just kind of accepts the fact that he's kind of insane and there's nothing he can do about it, but he's taking control of his life. But I don't want to get that debate because there's a huge debate.
Pattinson's Batman looks like it's going to be great. It's going to be darker. It's going to be more human, and more focused on like the police procedure. That's what it looks like anyway.
Okay, I didn't see that. I just saw him with the shit of Joker. Right? That's cool. Man.
No, it was a Joker gang. Gang.
Yeah, a Joker. Right?
The Joker gang.
That's what I called him. Joker. Right?
Because they were heavily like in the cartoons back in the 90s. They were a reoccurring thing because Joker was like not always on screen. And it was kind of like later on movies.
Like Joker technically had an army and henchmen shit, which they show in the Harley Quinn TV show, which is really good. Mm-hmm. I've talked about this, you know.
They were just like psychotic fanboys.
Pretty much, yeah. Alright, one last topic.
Do you have a topic to end us on?
I have a bed I need to get into soon. I haven't gone to sleep yet. I've been up all night and all day.
Hey guys, this is Angel here. Just to remind you that Minion has not slept for fucking 24 hours. And yeah, he's not going to actually be awake until I get home after I do my other job. Chauffeuring people around the galaxy. But I honestly don't think there's much else to discuss. I do think that we need to visit the Superman and Lois TV show.
I would like to.
I think we
I've
should
been
do
watched.
a review of what is it, Invincible, and we should do a review for.
I can do it right now. It was really good. I liked it. I couldn't stand Glenn's fucking girlfriend, but that was kind of the point. Like, she was a little too much of an asshole, and she was a real big douchebag to him when she basically knew that he was lying to her about being a superhero, and she just did not care. Because, which is fine. It's totally acceptable. She didn't care. Fuck, you get some of those.
And
But
the boys.
And it wasn't until she found that his dad was insane, killed 50,000 people, that she cared. That's fine. They're all fucking teenagers. I don't give a shit. What I do care about J.K. Simmons fucking rocked that role as Omni-Man. And it was dope, and it's why he's such a good actor. And it's funny seeing him because he's got good range. Or he could just play kind of like, I'm just J.K. Simmons doing a commercial for fucking insurance companies. And then he's just like, shut the fuck up! And it's just great. And it's funny because you always forget, like, he plays angry so well. And also, like, he's really cool as constant Superman. Or Spider-Man, J. Jonah St. Jameson, where he, like, hates Spider-Man, but he's not about to rat him out because he still knows he's a superhero. And that's cool. Anyway, my thoughts are, it's a good series, but it's a good series because of J.K. Simmons. It's a good series because the voice actor who plays the kid is the same... Joe Tran? No, I forget his name. But he's the guy who played Glenn in The Walking Dead. He's a really good fucking actor. And he needs more shit. And listening to him play this, like, whiny young man again was good. He does it really well. But, like, he earned his balls, like, throughout the series of his time in The Walking Dead. Because he grows. Because he's already a good character right away. But he's a young man and a virgin and kind of nervous. Especially for women. And then he just becomes his own. So when he gets the shit beat out by Negan, like, you really feel it. Like, one of our heroes was murdered in front of our fucking eyes. Why is Negan still alive? Why? Because Negan's a really good fucking villain. That's why. And that's my thoughts on Invincible.
The Boys season 3 is coming.
My thoughts of that are the exact same thing. I don't care about the main villain.
You should.
I don't care about the main character. I meant to say.
Butcher?
Not Butcher. The actual main character. The one, I forget his fucking name. The guy's girlfriend's Huey? Huey. Yeah, he's fine. But the point of these graphic novels are to put you, the nerdy kid reading it, in the shoes of these people dealing with this shit. Butcher's cool. Like, he's fun. And he's a character.
And Homelander is a fucking psychopath.
Who's nothing. Like, he's an ideal. Which is why, like, they can't kill him. There's no way to stop him. But the cool thing about Homelander is he's a child. So, like, hurting his pride basically hurts him. Which is why it ends with him jerking off. And I really hope he doesn't come back for, like, the third season. Because it'll be pointless. Unless he, like, comes back and actually becomes a good guy. Because he's already been fucking fooled. He's murdered everybody who's on his side. The one person he had, the Nazi who he had a relationship with, is dead. Or a corpse, or like a smush on the ground who's still, like, speaking German, which last time we saw her. And he's an asshole who doesn't give a shit, so he's just jerking off on a skyscraper, which I thought was a fitting end to his character story, was that he's just an asshole up there, all by himself, just being a psycho. Enjoy. He won't murder a bunch of people, because then people won't like him, which is a great way to put it, because he is very much all those superheroes combined. The big three combined to one fucking dude. And as it turns out, there's a reason why Steve Rogers and Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent are special. It's because they're good people at heart. Homelander's an asshole at heart. He's a douchebag at heart. He's manipulated at heart. He's a man-child at heart. He killed his mommy.
Yeah.
He won't kill his boss because his boss knows how to manipulate him. He abuses everybody around him. He manipulates his ex-girlfriend who plays the Wonder Woman knockoff His Nazi girlfriend is his fucking smush pile, so it's just whatever. If we bring him back, there's nothing for him to do but to be a wall to go around. He's invincible. We can't kill him, so people have to go around him. Starlight could fuck him up, which is the only real thing.
But she would die too. She can't compete with him.
I mean, kind of, sort of, whatever. But she's got like a real superpower, so technically she could. They'll find a way. I won't talk about the lesser story arc because I have strong opinions for better or for worse on them. And that is, like, the fact that they're all still alive was to torture them. Cool. They have to come up as. I really didn't want to see them suffer the entire time. Just kind of want to move on my life. Whatever. They established that the senator, who we thought was on everybody's side, is actually one of the villains. And I think she should take center stage. Because she has special powers that makes her very dangerous, and she's very charming, and more importantly, she's winning.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably where they're going to go with it.
That's the way to go. Like, the plot of destroying the corporation that made superheroes is kind of over and done with, and it's not really going to happen the way it is. It's going to happen the same way it's happening in iRobot. Not iRobot. Or Mr. Robot. Have you ever seen that? Which is, it gets real weird and real meta and real, like, fucking, kind of like incestuous. Where, like, the plot starts out here and slowly goes up to triangle until, like, the characters are all connected. So the CEO of the mega corporation connects to the chick, and chicks, and it's just kind of like, if it keeps going, that's just what's going to be. It's just going to be these 5-6 people
going at it,
fighting over the fate of the world. Everyone else is having like jerking off like video games with the rest of normally.
Well, I think that was a pretty decent discussion, if I'm going to be honest, and we really don't have much else to discuss on episode 1 of the podcast. We will be doing another one, guys, so if you guys like this format, please go ahead and follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitch, if you're over on the Twitch side of things. Don't hesitate to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will be doing normal streams, and, well, it's been awesome talking with Minion and discussing entertainment, because that's what we're into, and
I'm actually surprised I survived this long. I really am.
Well,
I was debating on the stream, just going to bed, just saying fuck the podcast, even though it was my idea. I'm the fucking manager. I'm the one in charge. And if I say fuck the podcast, I fuck my own career. I was like, oh, fuck.
And now Minion is just going on a rant. Well,
don't cut me off. This isn't the Oscars. Go ahead. Sign us out. Roll the outro. I want to go to bed.
Love you guys. We will see you soon. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bye. And wait for her to get closer. There you go. Or not. Fine. We'll do it this way. Really? Cheers! God, try to be fancy and you still can't get it. It's almost like she knows. Rono! Dump it with the fire, please. Ugh. Shoot. Here. There. Now I can work on your tail more. Cheers. Off with your tail. Oh shit! Hello. Down, boy. Uh-oh. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Really? You're gonna train in this corner? Alright, fine. Ow. Hello, non-existent tail. Okay. I will have this tail. Thank you. Shut up. There's no need for screaming. I will be doing the screaming as I remove your face. It comboed perfectly at that moment. I was gonna get some serious damage, but she roared. Gotta get out of there because she's gonna blow.
Look, we're all for one for all, yeah?
There's definitely an I in team and there's an A in team, so that means Angel.
Are you insane?
Yes.
Are you a fucking psychopath?
Yes.
What the fuck did you say? You know, would you pull a minion with that leap of fucking logic?
Yeah.
There's definitely an A in team and an I in team. That means Angel. I'm like, who are you? Alright, come on, get in my car.
Okay.
Quickly.
You're still wanted.
Quickly!
What the hell's wrong with you?
Quickly!
What
God damn it, Angel! Get the turret!
I'm trying to, but you keep running me over.
I'm listening to... I want somebody to peg you. Let's see, I'm pegged. Shoot things to keep tracking you.
Okay.
Sonny,
got it, Minion.
Kind of stay with us, please. With your $7 billion little tuner car. Sonny, it's unbelievable. He's level 640. Thanks for joining us. I like how our fans are usually better gamers than us. They're like, I like this stream. Really? Are you sure? I don't know if I'm watching the same stream, dude. Thank you.
I'm gonna beat you with this thing.
You're going to cheat again, right?
Cheating. That's cheating. It lets me.
It is cheating. I hope you hurt yourself on that motorcycle.
I probably will. But then you'll be sad because I'll be crippled beyond belief.
Because I'll be victorious, and victory is all that matters.